History remembers Confucius as one of the greatest teachers who ever lived. Kings sought his advice. Scholars wrote down his words. His wisdom shaped civilizations for thousands of years. But one quiet afternoon, beside a slow-moving river, something strange happened. The great master was the one being taught. Not by a king. Not by a scholar. Not by a philosopher. But by a simple fisherman. And in that moment, the man known for teaching the world discovered a truth many of us forget today. Sometimes the greatest wisdom comes from the people we overlook. We live in a world obsessed with titles, credentials, and status. We believe wisdom belongs to the educated, the famous, the powerful. We assume the teacher always stands at the top, and the student always sits below. But life rarely works that way. Some of the deepest truths are whispered by ordinary people living quiet lives. A farmer who watches the seasons. A worker who understands patience. A stranger whose experience holds lessons no book ever taught. This story speaks to anyone searching for answers, anyone who feels lost, anyone who believes wisdom only lives in famous voices. Because sometimes, the lesson you need most comes from the last person you expect. One day, Confucius was traveling with his students through the countryside. The road was long and dusty, and the afternoon sun hung low over the horizon. Eventually they arrived at a calm riverbank. The air was quiet except for the soft sound of water brushing against the stones. Nearby, an old fisherman sat patiently on the edge of a wooden boat, his fishing line resting gently in the water. His clothes were simple. His face was weathered by years of sun and wind. To most people, he would have looked like just another ordinary man trying to catch his dinner. Confucius watched him for a moment. The fisherman moved slowly, calmly, without urgency. He wasn't frustrated when the fish didn't bite. He didn't constantly check the line. He simply waited, eyes steady on the water, as if time itself had slowed down around him. One of Confucius's students whispered quietly, "Master, look at him, he's wasting hours just sitting there." But Confucius didn't answer immediately. Instead, he walked closer to the fisherman. After a moment, he asked gently, "Tell me, how long have you been fishing today?" The fisherman smiled without looking away from the water. "All my life." Confucius raised an eyebrow. "All your life?" The fisherman nodded. "Yes. Long enough to learn that fish are not caught by force, but by patience." Confucius stood quietly beside him. The wind moved softly across the water. Then the fisherman said something that surprised everyone. "You scholars travel everywhere searching for wisdom," he said calmly. "But the river already knows everything." The students looked confused. The fisherman continued. "If the water is restless, the fish hide. If the fisherman is impatient, the fish disappear. But when the water is calm, and the fisherman is calm, the fish come on their own." He finally turned and looked at Confucius. "Life is the same." Silence filled the riverbank. For a moment, even the students stopped breathing. Because the fisherman had unknowingly spoken something profound. Most people fight life. They rush. They chase. They force things to happen. But the deepest successes, the most meaningful moments, often come from patience. From alignment. From understanding when to act, and when to wait. And here stood the greatest teacher of the age, learning from a man who had never read a philosophy book in his life. Confucius slowly bowed his head. His students were shocked. Why would a great master bow to a simple fisherman? But Confucius understood something they didn't yet see. Wisdom does not belong to status. Wisdom belongs to observation, humility, and experience. A king may rule a nation but still misunderstand life. A scholar may read 1,000 books but never understand patience. But a fisherman who spends decades watching water, wind, silence, and time, might understand something deeper than all of them. Confucius turned to his students and said quietly, "A wise person learns from everyone. Not just from teachers. not just from scholars, from farmers, from workers, from strangers, from life itself. Because the moment you believe you know everything is the moment you stop growing. That day, beside a quiet river, the great master learned a lesson that echoes through centuries. The world is full of teachers, but most of them don't stand on stages. They sit quietly in ordinary places. A fisherman watching the water, a worker mastering patience, a stranger carrying a lifetime of silent lessons. If you walk through life believing wisdom only belongs to the famous, you will miss the greatest teachers around you. But if you stay humble, if you listen, if you observe, you will begin to see something extraordinary. Every person you meet, every place you go, every moment you experience, has something to teach you. And the greatest wisdom of all may simply be this: the master who keeps learning never stops becoming wiser.